You're sitting at a wooden table. The clock creeps past midday. A hollow echo rings inside your gut. A thought instantly forms. You need food. This instinct was not taught to you in a classroom. It just happens. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. A phantom clock dictates this daily cycle. It is the invisible metronome of your existence. Here's the reality. That invisible metronome is a lie. For the vast majority of human history, this schedule was impossible. The echoing growl at noon meant nothing. Your distant ancestors outlasted frozen winters. They tracked massive beasts across continents. They conquered the globe. Most of these survivors consumed one meal a day. Many ate even less. Skeletal records prove a glaring truth. They were physically superior. They possessed stronger bones and leaner frames than a modern person staring into a bright refrigerator. How did this shift happen? How did one meal shatter into three? Why does your cellular blueprint still operate on ancient programming? We are going to examine the actual history of human consumption. Forget the shiny supermarket packages. Ignore the modern internet routines. This timeline predates farming. It predates cities. The truth is simple. Your current eating pattern is completely unnatural. It is a manufactured habit. It is a very modern invention. Once you understand the construction of this habit, your perspective will permanently shift. We begin with human biology. Before digging into the historical timeline, you must first examine the physical machine sitting in your chair. Your physical body possesses a hidden gear for empty tanks. This is not a glitch. It is a brilliant survival tool. Deprive this machine of food for 16 hours. Survival protocols activate. Blood sugar crashes. Insulin plummets. Your liver turns stored fat into fuel particles called ketones. A dormant engine wakes up. Look at your brain. That hungry 3-pound gray sponge devours a fifth of your daily energy. It eagerly burns this new fuel. You do not grow weaker. You gain razor-sharp focus. Skipping lunch often triggers sudden mental clarity. You have felt this edge. Endless food did not forge your biology. Evolution built a machine designed to run without a steady fuel line. You can walk a full day. You can track targets on an empty gut. You need peak power precisely when you're starving. A fragile creature would shatter in the first harsh winter. Your bloodline survived by handling starvation. Every ancient ancestor mastered the art of an empty stomach. This fact feels strange today. Hunger is not your enemy. It is your oldest software. If this machine thrives on fasting, who invented the constant eating habit? We must peel back history. We will dig down through several stacked layers. Let us examine the top layer. Rome. Picture the sun-baked streets of Rome in the 1st century. Ask a citizen about his daily diet. He ate one substantial meal. They called it the cena. This late afternoon feast was the core of the day. Everything else was a minor detail. They grabbed a quick morning bite called the ientaculum. It was cold bread, scraps from yesterday, eaten fast on your feet. A midday bite called the prandium was just as small. The Romans did not casually skip meals. They viewed constant eating as a stain on your character. Devouring multiple heavy meals signaled weak willpower. It revealed gluttony. A respectable human ate once. A massive morning feast was shameful. Roman writers mocked it. To a Roman citizen, your modern most important meal of the day was the breakfast of drunks and fools. Men who lacked the discipline to wait for evening. Think about that. Your daily heavy indulgence was their moral failure. This belief stretched beyond Rome. Medieval Europe held the exact same standard. Their main meal sat at midday. Consuming food before this hour was an insult. The church enforced this standard. You had to earn your food. Morning labor and silent prayer came first. Look at the English language. Look at the word breakfast. To break a fast. The letters themselves confess the truth. The natural default state of a human was fasting. You did not chew food from dawn until dusk. You fasted. You broke that fast once. This is layer 1. The great stone empires built roads and vast cities. They did not build the habit of constant snacking. One real meal ruled the empire. But Rome is basically yesterday. We must dig deeper than civilization. We must travel past the invention of agriculture. We look to the first humans. Hunter-gatherers represent 95% of human history. They lacked massive farms. They lacked dusty grain jars. They survived on scorched dirt and whatever the changing seasons offered. Their eating rhythm looked nothing like yours. A biological schedule was impossible. Eating was a rare event. We do not have to guess about this. Modern humans still live this way. The Hadza tribe in northern Tanzania survives by foraging. They hunt game across the savanna. Scientists study them closely. Hermann Ponzer is an evolutionary anthropologist. He measured the exact caloric burn of the hadza. He used a highly precise chemical tracking method called doubly labeled water. The results shocked the scientific world. You would expect these active hunters to burn thousands of calories more than you. They do not. They climb trees. They dig for tubers. They track animals for miles. Yet they burn the exact same amount of energy as a modern human sitting in an office chair. Read that again. They move all day. They burn about the same. Their silent metabolic engine simply shifts energy around. It keeps the daily total locked. Your body is a master of squeezing power from a stone. A machine like this does not require fuel every 3 hours. It never did. The hadza ignore structured meals. They grab small bites of wild berries and honey while working in the dirt. The massive communal feast happens at night. The hunters return. The tribe eats. Feast and famine define their reality. The human body absorbs this chaotic environment flawlessly. Imagine this chaotic environment stretched across deep time. Picture your tribe 30,000 years ago. You wake up with a gnawing hunger in your stomach. No food waits for you. A scheduled morning meal does not exist. You spend the morning tracking footprints. Hunting a wild beast demands hours of brutal physical labor. It demands the entire day under the hot sun. It often fails completely. When the kill finally happens, you do not save leftovers. Since freezing meat is an impossible concept, polite portions do not exist. You consume everything. You and your tribe devour a massive feast of charred meat in one violent sitting. You gorge yourselves because raw survival demands it. The meat will rot tomorrow. You eat one colossal meal at the end of a punishing day. You sit surrounded by the only humans keeping you alive. Does this rhythm sound familiar? It is the Roman cena. It is modern dinner. Our deepest biological eating pattern is not 3 neat meals on a plate. It is one massive shared feast in the dark. Every other habit is a shallow, modern invention. So, a massive question remains. If a single daily meal is the ancient biological default, if it echoes from the scorched savanna to the stone streets of Rome, where did 3 meals come from? Who commanded you to eat breakfast? The answer is a quiet, modern conspiracy. It involves farming. It involves a strict mechanical clock. It involves aggressive modern advertising. We start with agriculture. Roughly 12,000 years ago, humans learned to plant seeds. This shift altered human digestion forever. Food became something you could stockpile. We created dusty clay jars of surplus grain. This was a physical buffer against starvation. For the first time ever, you could wake up to guaranteed calories. The food simply sat there. You did not have to earn it with sweat. Farming did not immediately birth the morning meal. It only made it possible. It also introduced biological decay. Scientists analyze the bones of early farmers. They compare them to the wild hunter-gatherers. The results are bleak. The farmers were significantly shorter. Their teeth rotted. Their skeletons showed severe nutritional stress and disease. Relying on a few starchy plants eaten continuously was not a biological upgrade. We traded the wild variety of feast and famine for predictable grain. Your bones recorded this heavy physical cost. Then came the mechanical clock. This object matters more than you think. For centuries, humans ate according to the sun. Then society industrialized. Men abandoned the open fields. They marched into dark factories. Iron factory bells replaced the sun. Eating was now dictated by the whistle. You cannot hunt or forage during a 12-hour shift at a loom. You need fuel before the physical labor begins. You need a pause in the middle of the grind. You need a meal when the shift ends. Industrialization dictated your working hours. Consequently, it dictated your hunger. The grinding industrial workday birthed the three-meal schedule. Breakfast was the coal for the furnace. Lunch was the temporary mechanical pause. Dinner was the physical reward for surviving the day. Then came the most infuriating layer, the glossy ad campaigns. Breakfast, as you know, it was literally sold to you. In the early 20th century, the American cereal industry exploded. Men like John Harvey Kellogg built massive fortunes on cardboard boxes of grain. They possessed a massive financial motive to make morning eating mandatory. A society that skips a morning meal ignores cereal. A society convinced that breakfast is a physiological necessity buys grain by the trainload. The most important meal of the day is a manufactured desire. What about the heavy plates of bacon and eggs? That is another famous corporate illusion. In the 1920s, the pork industry hired a public relations master named Edward Bernays. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. Bernays did not print advertisements praising the taste of pork. Instead of advertising the meat, he marketed a medical philosophy. The meat simply rode the coattails of that philosophy. He surveyed doctors. He convinced them to publicly endorse a heavy morning meal for optimal health. He weaponized these medical opinions. A hearty morning requires hearty food. Suddenly, eggs and bacon became standard American medicine. The all-American morning feast was designed inside a corporate office. The three-meal schedule is a ghost of factory bells. Constant daily snacking would physically baffle a wild hunter. The entire architecture of your modern diet is barely 1 century old. It is stitched together from paper-thin slogans, industrial labor, and pure salesmanship. Underneath this modern illusion sits your ancient flesh. It remains completely unchanged. This machine still thrives on an empty tank. It still produces ketones to sharpen your focus. You are descended from humans who were apex predators on an empty gut. This explains modern intermittent fasting. It is not a trendy biological hack. It is not a new discovery. Compressing your food window simply returns the machine to its original factory settings. Science keeps proving that your metabolism heals when it finally stops digesting. The physical body craves this environment. We never invented fasting. We invented endless eating. We simply forgot our origins. We branded our ancient biological reality as a radical modern experiment. We must peel back one final layer. Travel deeper than Rome. Deeper than the hadza. Deeper than the first dusty grain jar. We must locate the strangest era of all. Rewind to a brutal world before controlled fire. Our primitive ancestors survived entirely on raw calories. Every scrap was consumed in the dirt. Then came the ultimate biological catalyst. Fire radically altered human evolution. It outranks the factory bell. It outranks the glossy cereal boxes. When early humans threw raw meat onto crackling embers, everything changed. Heat unlocked hidden calories. Massive guts shrank. Gray matter expanded. The heavy brain you're currently using was paid for by cooked muscle. One feast shared in pitch-black darkness. This was the original dinner. Sit with that thought. You began this video believing 3 meals a day was an unshakable truth. You believed it was permanent biology. Strip away the modern illusions. Strip away the paper-thin slogans. Strip away the iron whistles and clay jars. Look at the naked foundation. You will find exhausted humans huddled around a flame. They waited until nightfall for a single meal. Their biology operated flawlessly on an empty stomach. You are still that exact creature. You sit at your wooden table today. You hear a hollow echo in your gut at midday. You eat on a bizarre schedule that a Roman would mock. An ancient hunter would stare at you in total confusion. Your ancient ancestors would not recognize your eating schedule, but they would recognize your hunger. That hunger is not a modern glitch. It is the oldest biological truth you possess. An ancient ghost living inside your flesh. The true modern sickness is our relentless obsession with turning that alarm off.